Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Bonjour tout le monde. I'm running out of ways to introduce this now. I should say another language, because this is the Ask Rob and Rob podcast. Once again, episode number 19. We are Rob and Rob. You ask us things, we answer them. Dead easy. Chris took the opportunity to ask us a question this week, and what a great one it is to start the year as well. We're going to have some fun with this one. But before we get into that, why not make it your resolution to ask a question of your own? Rob, tell them how to do it.
Super simple. Call 013 808 00035. That's 013 808 00035. Type that into your phone. Call it. Leave us a message. We'll get it, and then we'll answer it. It's that simple. Or, if you're on your computer, and that might be easier for you, go to thepropertyhub.net/podcast and leave a recording there. Again, really easy stuff. But, as Rob said, Chris has asked us a question. It's a really good one, and we're going to change things slightly for this, which we'll explain in a minute. But first, let's listen to the question.
Hi, Rob and Rob. Love your work. It's Chris. What would you do if you had 100k in cash and was looking to put it into property? Cheers.
Okay, so this is a really interesting one. We were asked a similar question back in episode 13. Alice asked us what we would do with £80,000. So rather than giving you the exact same answer but adding a little bit of money on top, we thought we would take a different spin on this. So if you want to hear the strict answer to this question and what we would actually do right now, then go back to listen to episode 13. You can do that by going to thepropertyhub.net/property advice. That's where you'll find the list of all the episodes that we've done in the past. But to give you a slightly different perspective on it this time round, we're going to pretend that this 100,000 is the only capital investment pot that we're going to have. So we're not going to be putting in any more cash in the future. We have to take this 100k and use it to build our portfolio to reach our goals, whatever they may be, in whatever way we see fit. So that's how we're going to mix it up a bit. That means, Rob, seeing as I've talked about it, you have to go first. I'm glad about that.
Right, okay. So the great thing about this question is there's so many different approaches. So it depends on you, I would say, first of all, because if you've got time, then that's going to change your strategy. So if you're time poor, there are going to be lots of things ruled out straight away. But if you have a fair bit of free time, there's more you can do. So I'm going to do a bit of a hybrid of the two. This is probably for someone who's got a bit of time. And I can touch on, if you haven't got a lot of time, what you could do as well. But if you've got a fair bit of time, I would probably de-risk by splitting up my pot down the middle. 50k and 50k. And with 50k of it, I would go and try and find property that's below market value and get one or two buy-to-let investments, with the view that once my mortgage product runs out in a year or two, I'm going to reinvest for the full value amount. Okay, so I'm going to do that with half. And with that amount, I then remortgage later on. So I've bought below market value, I remortgage after my mortgage product's expired for the higher amount. I take that money out and I'll reinvest it to buy more buy-to-lets. So that's operating on one hand there. On the other hand, the other 50k, I'm going to do a refurb, or maybe two, but probably with 50k, one good sized refurb. And I'm going to make sure I get a healthy return on my money put in and turn it around in the most efficient time possible. I don't want to sit on this for a long period of time. Ideally, I want to turn two over in a year with that 50k. That is a lot of work, so that's why you need a lot of time. Even if you don't do the refurb yourself, which I'm not suggesting you should in this scenario, setting the deals up, finding them and managing it is going to take an awful lot of time. So this is a strategy I would take if I had 100k and a bit of time on my hands. You don't necessarily need to be out of work, but have a lot of flexibility with your job, willing to give up weekends and not have a family that's going to be angry with you. If you could do that, then I would put 50% down one avenue, 50% down the other, and watch them both work. And if one goes wrong, I've still got the other one working away for me.
Interesting. Okay, I was going to split it as well, but I'll change it then to give a slightly different answer. So if this is the only funds that I'm ever going to have, I'm going to be very concerned with preserving that as best I can. And that's where the concept of recycling your cash comes in. Now, 100,000 is a good amount to start with. Like with that, if all you did was just buy properties at their market value using 75% mortgages, you could buy £400,000 worth of property, give or take. There are fees to think about and so on, but that's not a bad place to start. However, you're then at the mercy of the market. You're not able to refinance and get any cash back out until the market decides to go up. And what if that doesn't happen for years and years and years for whatever reason? Then you're a bit stuck. So I would be looking at buying properties where I could add some value. You could, of course, achieve the same thing by just buying below market value. But personally, I think I'd find it easier rather than being confident in my ability to find that opportunity myself. I'd probably be more confident in my ability to add some value with a bit of a refurb. It doesn't have to be anything major, but just find those properties that no one else is particularly interested in, get them at a good price, do the refurb, add some value, refurb, and go again. So that way I've got complete control over the timescale. What the market does, broadly speaking, unless it crashes, is not going to affect me too much because I've got that value in there. So it seems like a fairly safe way to go with the whole thing. I think a big part of this answer, though, is to do with, of course, the goals that you set. Because it could be that if your goals are relatively modest, you don't need to do anything too clever. It could be that your goals are more aggressive in terms of time frame. You could easily be looking at this and thinking, okay, well, I should go down the HMO route with this because I'm wanting to make big cash flow now so I can get out of my job. It's very dependent on your goals and also on your skill set. So Rob talked about buying below market value. I talked about adding value through a refurb. We're getting at the same thing through that. However, it involves a different skill set to identify and execute on the opportunity, depending on which strategy you use. So we've each given you an answer. I've just given you a few extra answers at the end. And it's not because we're trying to hedge our bets, but it's because it is absolutely dependent on what you want to achieve. And it's where you see people going wrong all the time. They'll just do something copying someone else without really thinking about where it is that they want to end up. So that's why these answers come with lots of caveats, because it really does depend on what you ultimately want.
It really does. So, as Rob said, there's different avenues, different approaches that we've mentioned. The good news is that we've got free courses, and as it's the new year, get educating yourself and make sure you take advantage of this on all the approaches. So, first of all, setting goals. There's a course for that, and if you haven't taken it yet, it's absolutely free. It's on the Property Hub. We'll link to it in the show notes. If you go to thepropertyhub.net/property advice, that's thepropertyhub.net/property advice. We'll link to these courses I'm about to mention. The first is goal setting. It's the beginning of the year. If you haven't set goals yet, get on it. If you're ever going to do it, now's the time. So set your goals and plan out what you want to achieve, not just this year, but long term. Check that course out. If you're thinking about flips or refurbs, then there's a course for it as well. Again, free. We'll link to it in the show notes. It's on the Property Hub. You can find it there, but we'll link to it in the show notes. And if you're going to take the below market value route, again, there's a course on it as well. So 3 courses, all 3, our New Year's gift to you. They've been out for a little bit, but no better time to mention them and highlight them, because actually by looking at all 3 of those, you can set yourself up for the year ahead. And Rob, guess what? I've got a cheeky lead in. How else can you set yourself up this year?
Oh, I don't know. Read a couple of books. No, come to the Property Hub Summit, of course, is the answer to that. We are putting on 2 summits in February. Now, we're recording this a little bit in advance, so they may have sold out by now, and we might have a future date on sale. We don't know. The only way to find out is to go to thepropertyhub.net/summit. If you're on the move and you don't want to try and remember that right now, there's something else you can do. You can text us the word summit, followed by a space, and then your email address. So send us the word summit, then a space, and your email address to 88802. Do that. We will then text you back with a link that you can use to find out more and book your place. At the summit, it's you, it's us, and it's 15 other investors, all with different strategies, different goals in different situations. And that is such a brilliant environment to be in, to really get you thinking about what it is that you want and how to get there. This question really couldn't be more relevant to it, because it's the exact position that some people find themselves in. And while we're giving an answer today, like, oh, well, you could do this, you could do that, by actually finding out about you as a person, we can give you proper advice that doesn't have all these ifs and buts. And most importantly, far more valuable than what we have to say is hearing what your peers have to say and seeing what it is that they're doing. So if this is the kind of question that you're wrestling with, whether the amount of money is the same or different or whatever it is, whether you've started, whether you haven't, chances are, if you're looking to make this a productive year, the summit is going to be a brilliant way of doing that. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but there's only one way to find out. So send us that text or get over to thepropertyhub.net/summit and we might just see you in February.
Look forward to it. So Saturday the 20th, Sunday the 21st, Rob and I are going to have our property hats on, energised. It's the new year. Of course we will be. Look forward to seeing many of you then. But we'll be back next week, of course, and we'll be back even sooner than that on Thursday with the Property Podcast. Until then, I hope you stay motivated, stay focused, and take advantage of the year ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.